Do. Yes, so Hairless here. Well, here we are, VoicePlay finally. VoicePlay were the winners of our members poll for which new artist to react to in February 2024. And I'm quite happy because I clearly love the a cappella world and I've received so many requests for VoicePlay on my pentatonics and home free videos. Everyone speaks so highly of them. And this is the song that won the poll for which of their songs should I react to first. This is Nothing Else Matters. It's a song that's just a bit famous, Metallica. As far as Metallica goes, I'm definitely towards the bottom of the scale of my knowledge about them. I will admit that, but I did know this song. It's just a classic song, extremely well written. And in terms of the technical side of things, the original song, it is quite simple. Now, I don't know VoicePlay. I've never seen them. I've never heard them. I don't know what their style is, other than people commenting that they're fun and theatre kids. So the song itself, in that regard, does leave quite a lot of room for them to do something with the arrangement. And I have no idea what they're going to do. Are they going to keep it simple? Are they going to go crazy? I don't know, but it makes me excited. As with any new a cappella group, I'm not looking them up beforehand to give away who's singing which part because I like to try and figure that out. I do know of Jeff Castellucci, the bass. I've seen his name all over the comment sections of my videos, but I've still never heard him sing. As for the rest of the group, I'm going in blind. I've also been made aware that they often have guest singers in and that their lineup has changed quite a lot over the years. For example, in this, they're featuring Jay Nunn. Gave him a quick Google and apparently he's a past member of VoicePlay. Alright, I think that's enough chit chat. Let's begin our VoicePlay journey.
No matter how far, couldn't be much more from the heart. Forever trusting who we are, and nothing else matters. Never opened myself this way. Life is ours, we live it our way. All these words I don't just say, ooh, and nothing else matters. Trust I seek and I find in you. Every day for us something new. Open mind for a different view. Oh, and nothing else matters. Oh, never cared for what they do.
Blimey, well, I got a bit carried away there, but I did notice that this video is over 6 minutes long, so I'm just going to try and do a few pauses throughout it. This seemed like a change, and we're about 2 minutes and 15 through, about a third of the way. Right, there's a lot to talk about. The beginning of that arrangement, I was getting quite intense goosebumps. I loved that opening section. I loved it. Unbelievable arrangement, I think. And there's a lot to talk about, as you can probably imagine. So if you don't want to hear me talk about analysis, now is your opportunity to skip by going to the timestamp here. Okay, if you haven't skipped, there might be quite a bit to say here, so buckle up. So straight from the off, we're in the same key as the original song. We open with them outlining that chord. That chord is E minor. They've replicated the guitar sound pretty well here. 4 voices, 1 voice to each note. I want to talk about that in a bit more detail, so cues to Hairless from the future. As you can see, we have the voice parts here, 4 of them. Whilst they might not be the actual singer's voice types, this is what I'm hearing right now, and this is the first time I've heard them sing. I really like how they sustain to the end of each phrase, except for the bass, who has a break. and then the bass breaks so he has time to begin the next phrase. As you can see by the screenshot here, the green bars are when they are singing and the red bars are when they are not singing. And then you see here how to avoid the sound getting too full too quickly. There's only one moment where they're all singing together before then the bass comes off, which we can see by the orange box. It's like the guitar strings playing out and resonating. If they weren't sustaining each part, then it would sound like this. A completely different sound. Visually as well, this video, it's cool. The Sir Hairless copycat in the middle is not singing. He's just this ominous presence. And sorry, immediately we got this from Jeff, the bass. That's a bottom E. For context, in the choral world you have voice parts: soprano, alto, tenor, bass. Each of those parts are split into two, first and second, with the first being the higher of the two. You have the bass, the lower voice part, that is split into two, the first basses and the second basses. The second basses are typically only expected to sing down to a bottom E, which is the note that Jeff started the whole thing on. He's gone down to the octave below that, just casually. Alright, okay. I also like how they had changed the positioning of everyone in that introduction. They're sat like this, but in the intro they've done it so we can see who's singing from low to high. So then we get the famous start of the melody, that falling fifth from the B to the E. I wasn't sure if one of them was going to do that in some mad falsetto, but we're keeping it human. Right, so going back to the bass here, Jeff Castellucci, I understand he's quite famous. The other two a cappella basso profundos I'm aware of are Avi Kaplan from Pentatonics and Tim from Home Free. Jeff's voice to me seems a bit more dissimilar to both of theirs than they are to each other, at least in terms of the timbre of the lower register. Jeff, it seems, especially by that first bottom E we saw, just doesn't really have a lower limit. I'd be interested to know the anatomical reasons behind that. But anyway, listen with headphones on to this part here, Jeff's entry. It sounds like some explosion. It's so percussive. Now I don't know if that's him or something else going on, but it's a crazy effect that he produces. You know, and then we get this. What is that? What's going on? Anyway, I'm sure I'll see a lot of that in the future. Back to the arrangement. I love the arrangement. It sounds relatively simple, and that's because of the original song. But there are two aspects in particular that I want to point out certain parts about. Number one, the rhythms. First point of note here. It's very organised. Their quick rhythms separately, all together, create this kind of separate entity that acts as rhythm in the absence of a beatbox, especially with the sound that they're making at the start of ha 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 ha. And then we get a similar thing here. A bit harder to hear, but a similar thing, but this time with a dum sound. But just once, because then we return to those rhythms we saw in the intro. So we have these rhythmically complex parts that need good understanding of each other amidst what seems like a relatively calm arrangement, but it's not. Number two, the harmonic structure. In other words, which chords they choose and in which order. Overall, again, as per the original song, there's nothing that fancy going on. But this arrangement adds in some really cool things, like some cool mini journeys through some unexpected chords while staying in the overall chord structure. So there's one section here, and I'll split it into a couple of sections. So let's take this for example. Jeff starts it off by going to that super low note. Jeff goes down lower than we're expecting, but because it's so low, the frequency is actually hard to hear. The note itself is hard to hear, but it's enough to slightly throw us off in terms of this harmonic foundation. And then we get the bit just afterwards. It's usually the harmonic foundation that dictates where the chords are going, whether that be prompting the direction that they move in or confirming what the chords are by being this rock at the bottom, this foundation. What we hear now though is this kind of harmonic lag effect type thing. There are two chords being heard at any one time, and when one catches up, the other one has then moved on. And then we only finally reach resolution by returning to that introduction motif, the arpeggiated up and down that we're familiar with. And I think it's Jeff, it's the bass that really creates this effect. I haven't decided if he's leading or if he's lagging behind. I actually think he does a bit of both. It's very cool, very interesting arrangement. Another standout example of something they do harmonically here is on the word words. All these words I don't just say. Now in the original melody, that is actually an unexpected note. All these words I don't just say. It would sound much simpler to just go do 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 do, you know, nice scale. Instead they go ba da dum dum and then repeat that one. VoicePlay honour this slight peculiarity by singing that same peculiar note, but they exaggerate it massively. Firstly, they elongate it to really highlight this clash that we hear. is this note here, the F sharp. The supertonic, as you'll know I talk about in my other videos, which basically just means the second note in the scale. We're in E here, so this is the number 2. That is the cause of tension. Also, the top part here is actually very clever. It briefly starts on that F sharp note before then resolving up to the G.
All these words I don't just say.
But then everyone else just stops singing as well, except for the melody. So they just leave us with this clash chord until they start singing again. And then last thing I wanted to point out is when we finally get some lyrics, you'll notice how the texture is reduced. We just have the bass melody and some clicks.
So close, no matter how far.
This isn't used to you, I know, but I wanted to mention that because of what it pointed out to me. We've just started the lyrics with one person singing the melody. I'd expect that person to then continue the melody whilst the other parts come in gradually or however they come in. But someone else takes over.
Never opened myself this way.
Again, that's not groundbreaking news to you, but it gives me the impression that there's a lot of fluidity within this group, especially around moving parts and handing over parts from one person to another. Wow, okay, that was a lot to talk about, but I'm excited, I guess. This is the first time ever hearing them, and there was a lot to say. One final thing before we carry on that's interesting is from the couple of minutes I've heard of VoicePlay so far in my life, there doesn't seem to be one voice, aside from Jeff, that is overly unique. You know, like a Mitch from Pentatonics or something. One, I might be wrong, but two, if I'm not, this isn't a bad thing, especially when it comes to a cappella. It allows for this fluidity and this feeling that a group overall is comprised of similar things, not just like grabbing this person with this voice, that person with that voice, and shoving them in a group together. Alright, just before we pause, it sounded like there was a wind sound coming in. Let's go from there. Is that the start of a beatbox maybe? Also, there's been no noticeable counter tenor. Everything's been predominantly chest voice.
Never cared for what they do. Never cared for what they know. But I know. So close, no matter how far. Couldn't be much more from the heart. Forever trusting who we are. And nothing else matters. Never care for what they do. Never care for what they know. But I know. Never open myself this way. Life is ours, we live it our way. All these words I don't just say. And nothing else matters. And nothing else. Trust I see. And
I feel like this is what we've been building up to. Let's take a step back, relax. Yeah, it's nice. It's very nice. When we continue, we'll rewind a bit and hear that again and then carry on. This is definitely my longest video and I'm a bit worried about copyright, so I just want to get another pause in. Again, just some things that stood out to me that I'd like to kind of quickly touch on. So it was from where we carried on, there was this nice growth moment.
never cared for what they do.
Start with humming and then we move to open sounds.
Never cared for what they know.
And then there's no bass as well. So it gets me thinking that this is going to lead into some kind of massive moment, but it doesn't.
But I know.
It kind of did the opposite. There was silence there. And then that exaggerates the bass entry when it comes in, which leads into Jeff's solo. I mean, what a voice.
Couldn't be much more from the heart.
It's definitely different to Tim and Avi's voice for sure. I don't know how I'd describe it though. A bit more natural maybe and a bit less technical. But it's just mad to me. It seems like he really can just keep going down and down. There's no filter to stop him from descending. He's just got those depths of his voice permanently unlocked. It's like a noise but to a tune. I think the secret lies in the hair. That's why I can never be a basso profundo. My hair growth could do with some improvement. And then with Jeff's solo, we get the beatbox.
So close, no matter how far.
Cool, so we have our beatboxer, and he sings as well. I was wrong earlier about thinking that the beatbox was coming in. I thought maybe there won't be a beatbox at all, but here he is. There was something I heard earlier on Careful What They Do. Let me find that. Right, so it's the point I was making earlier about the brief moments of harmonic difference while still maintaining the overall fairly standard feel. On the echo on Careful What They Do, listen to the word do. We get quick rhythms, one person and then immediately another person coming in, do. And at this moment, the chord we hear is D major. But we have these notes. Subtle, quick, but enough to stand out and just create this moment that makes you think, oh, what was that? And then after that, we get another great moment from a harmony side of things, everyone starting on the same note and then growing out. All these words I don't just say. I mean, just, but it goes from here to the A down an octave from here. Off this online keyboard. Alright, well, let's go from there again and then we can progress through that drop.
And nothing else matters. And nothing else. Trust I see and I find in you. Every day for us something new. Open mind for a different view. Nothing else matters. Ooh.
What? Yeah, there was a lot going on. Right, I've taken some time to recompose myself. By the way, there's 30 seconds more at the end, but it's nothing new. We can't see anything. It's just the patrons on the screen. I don't know if that's something that should be included in these videos for any future VoicePlay reactions. Yeah, that's definitely an arrangement to remember, and an introduction to a group to remember. It's funny because my introduction to Home, Free and Pentatonics were both from the sing-off. All right, let's go over just some final few points from that last bit. So these two. Him, I think that's Bynon, because I googled him. But I think their voices just work so well together. Bynon's voice has a bit of a sweeter tone, I feel, but him, he has power. And he suits the song so well. There are so many metal singers who just have that chest voice that just kind of just goes way, way up there. And look. Sorry, he goes up to an E. That C below the E. That, if you've seen my Dimash videos, you'll know, is what I call the wow operatic tenor moment. Right, this part, I don't really need to say much. We can just listen to the build-up. To what? Sorry, a violin? Okay, is that a normal thing that they do? Well, that was a nice little surprise at least. It's great, we've got this violin, the fiddle in the forefront, and then I think the voices are kind of imitating it in the background with an open vowel sound. it just creates this counterpoint of just movement. It creates this feeling of flowingness, if that's a word. And then this bit, someone will need to explain to me what that is. And then after this, the texture is reduced down to how it was at the opening. And I like their choice to actively do this. Normally after that climax we had before, you'd have like this boom moment and then everything cuts out and then we start again quietly. But this time around everyone keeps going, but they're moving down both in terms of pitch and volume. And interestingly, then the beatbox kind of almost grows. In complete contrast to the others, which exaggerates the beat's exit. Yeah, I mean, just what an arrangement. Whoa. Right, well, I mean, yeah, that was great. I didn't know what to expect, so I'm not going to say this is better than expected, but I think this is better than expected. There we go, the VoicePlay journey has begun. As usual, please let me know all of the information you have on all of the members and everything. That's one of the great things about discovering new groups, everyone's knowledge of them and information feeding. Let's leave it there. I think this video has gone on probably for quite long enough. And of course, let me know which other VoicePlay songs you'd like me to react to in the future. As always, thank you very much for watching. Would appreciate a like, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos and you want to join the community, then you can do so by joining the Patreon or YouTube memberships linked down below in the description, and I will see you next time.